Get out of your house right now. That's how my Saturday morning started, can you believe it? There I was, minding my own business, pajamas on, coffee in hand, when Nicole Wright, our HOA president, went full nuclear meltdown right on my front porch, screaming at me to abandon my own home for her VIP guests. I swear in that moment, it was like I'd become a public enemy just for enjoying the sunrise with a mug of dark roast and the news. You ever have one of those mornings where you know nothing good's coming after the first 5 minutes? Yeah, that happened. Nicole was so far off the rails, she actually called the cops on me for refusing to leave my own house, mind you. The irony of her ranting about authority and important visitors didn't even hit her, but I knew right then this story was about to take a wild turn. See, she thought she was the queen bee running the show, but she had no idea I was just a few steps from blowing her entire game wide open. Now let me back up a sec. I'm Owen Hayes, just your average guy living in a nice suburban patch of Colorado. The kind of place where folks wave at each other, kids ride bikes until the street lights come on, and up until Nicole took over the HOA, the worst drama you got was whose dog left a mess by the mailbox. But Nicole changed all that. She turned my little slice of heaven into her personal fiefdom, one over-the-top rule at a time. That Saturday morning, I was sitting out back reading headlines when the peace got shattered front gate, slamming, then pounding on my door so hard the glass rattled. I peeked through the peephole. There she was, arms crossed, foot tapping, eyes blazing. The second I opened up, she let loose, "Owen Hayes, I need you to vacate this property immediately. You've got 2 hours." I actually laughed out loud, not because it was funny, but because it was insane. Nicole, have you lost your mind? This is my house. I'm not going anywhere. That's when she really started unraveling, shouting about emergency HOA powers and the good of the community, hands waving like she was trying to land a plane. All the while, my neighbor, Steve Miller, ex-military, sharp as a tack, was watching from his porch, probably thinking, here we go again. And Nicole. She wasn't slowing down. She launched into this speech about investors, community value, how her mysterious guests would make us all rich. And I just kept thinking, this isn't about the HOA, this is about Nicole. There was something desperate in her eyes, like she was gambling with house money and running out of chips. But then came the twist. I noticed my backyard gate was cracked open, odd since I always lock it. I walked around and found fresh tire tracks right through my flower bed and a business card shoved in the door. Kane Development Group, transforming neighborhoods, building dreams. When I confronted Nicole, her face drained white as a sheet. She snatched the card, mumbling about forces bigger than me, and then right on cue, she called 911, painting me as some kind of hostile, threatening resident. That's when I realized she was willing to do anything, even get me arrested, to push whatever scheme she was running. Police showed up, led by Officer Collins, who had the tired patience of a man who's seen too many HOA squabbles for one lifetime. Nicole switched to her fake sweet voice, waving around a folder of official documents, claiming she had the power to kick me out. Collins started flipping through her papers, frowning, already suspicious. Steve stepped up with his own bombshell. He'd seen Nicole walking the property with a stranger the day before, taking measurements, snapping photos. Collins' interest piqued. He asked Nicole to explain herself. She stammered about routine assessments, but the officer wasn't buying it. He wanted to see the real HOA bylaws and meeting minutes that gave her this supposed authority. Nicole tried to stall, insisting the documents were at the office. But she made a mistake. She started arguing with the cop about her urgent investor meeting, blabbing about thousands of dollars in value and sounding more unhinged by the minute. Just then, a black Mercedes SUV pulled up. 3 guys in suits stepped out, real shark types, all slicked hair and expensive watches. Their ringleader, Marcus Kane, strolled over like he owned the place. He barely glanced at me before lecturing Nicole about timelines and property assessments. Collins wasn't impressed and pressed him about his business there. That's when things got surreal. Marcus tried to hand Nicole an envelope thick with cash, calling it a consulting fee. Officer Collins shut that down real quick, demanding an explanation for their cozy arrangement. Nicole exploded again, screeching about progress and selfish homeowners. But just as she lost it, Tracy, my wife and the real hero here, arrived. She'd been digging through public records all morning and handed Collins proof Nicole had been ousted as HOA president 2 months ago. She had zero authority, none to do any of this. Nicole's face went green. Marcus started backpedaling and Officer Collins laid it out. Nicole had lied about her position, facilitated illegal access, and taken money for something she couldn't deliver. Tracy wasn't done. She showed evidence. Nicole had pressured at least 3 other families to sell below market value. Collins told Marcus and his goons to leave, warned Nicole she'd be answering for fraud and trespassing. As Marcus drove off, he let Nicole know in front of everyone that their arrangement was finished. She was left there looking lost, desperate for someone to bail her out. But it was over, or so I thought. Collins suggested we go to the HOA office to clear up the mess. Nicole tried every excuse. Office is closed, don't have the keys. But Steve called her bluff, saying he'd seen her there that week. When we got there, the place was stripped bare, mail, piled up furniture gone. Nicole stared at the empty office, then finally broke. She admitted she'd lost the election but claimed she never stopped caring and had worked outside the official channels. Tracy muttered, "She's justifying fraud as community service." Officer Collins calmly explained she'd crossed from community spirit to felony charges. Then Nicole got a call from Marcus. Collins listened in as Marcus coldly cut ties, demanding his money back. Nicole was rattled, trying to forge my signature on a consent form right there on Collins's hood, sobbing as she was cuffed and taken away. She just wanted to help the neighborhood, she said, but it was too late for tears. That should have been the end. But a few days later, Steve dug up Marcus's background. Turns out Kane was part of a predatory development ring running scams in multiple states using fake emergencies and bribed HOA officials to drive people out and snatch up homes cheap. Every time Nicole got a mysterious deposit, another Pine Valley house sold below value to one of Marcus's shell companies. The Johnsons, the Morgans, the young couple on Pine, they'd all been victims. Then came the threats. Nicole, out on bail, called me panicked. Marcus's team knew where my wife worked when our kids got home. "If Hayes won't sell, we'll make him want to leave permanently," one text read. The next morning, Marcus and his goons showed up in my backyard, acting like they already owned it. He waved, pointed at his watch, and when Collins arrived, Marcus produced what looked like a legal purchase agreement signed by Nicole for $50,000 on a property worth 6 times that. Tracy had already checked with the county, no record, and Nicole had no legal standing. When Marcus tried to bribe me directly, I'd had enough. I told him and his crew to get off my property before I pressed charges. That's when Collins cuffed Marcus for trespassing, fraud, and threats. His associates tried to run but got caught. One was packing a gun, the other had incriminating texts on his phone. The police found files on every house in Pine Valley Mine marked high resistance. Nicole, sobbing in the back of a squad car, claimed she never meant for it to go this far. But the truth was out. At the emergency HOA meeting, the whole story exploded. Detective Morgan from the fraud division laid out the conspiracy, fabricated violations, forged documents, families targeted and driven out. People broke down in tears, realizing how much trust they'd lost, how close they'd come to losing everything. Nicole faced years in prison. Marcus even more. His network went down in multiple states. But the real win, the neighborhood came together. We created safeguards, financial transparency, public meeting minutes, a neighborhood watch. Steve Miller became our new HOA president. We even built a community garden on the land. Marcus tried to steal a memorial for everyone hurt by their scam. Property values went up. Mrs. Henderson moved back, and her new rosebush is the pride of Elm Street. Sometimes I think about how close I came to running when Nicole first screamed at me that morning, how many more families would have lost their homes if we just packed up and left. If you've ever faced corruption or abuse of power in your own neighborhood, share your story. Below, your voice might be the one thing that saves someone else from falling into the same trap. So where do you draw the line between authority and exploitation? What would you have done in my shoes? Drop a comment. Let's hear your take, and if you made it this far, hit like and share because sometimes sunlight really is the best disinfectant.